It was an unassuming morning in Kinsale. Leah, a 28-year-old librarian, pedaled her bicycle through the cobbled streets, her auburn hair fluttering behind her. The salty breeze from the ocean mingled with the faint sweetness of blooming jasmine. The library, with its ancient walls and scent of aged paper, awaited her. It was her sanctuary. But that day, the story awaiting her would be her own. Unlocking the heavy oak door, Leah stepped inside. Resting on the counter was an envelope. Her name, Leah Montgomery, was written in elegant, unfamiliar handwriting. There was no sender address. Curiosity got the better of her as she opened it. Inside was a letter written on yellowed parchment. The ink was slightly smudged, as though written in another time. It read, "Dearest Leah, I have loved you for lifetimes. Though the years keep us apart, I will find my way to you. Do not lose faith in love, for it is eternal, as is my promise to you. Yours, Arthur." Her heart raced. She let out a nervous laugh, trying to convince herself it was some elaborate joke. Yet the name Arthur stirred something in her, a memory she couldn't quite grasp. Over the next week, letters continued to appear. They described her with uncanny accuracy, her love for Jasmine, her habit of humming while reading, even her secret fear of thunderstorms. They were filled with poetic confessions of love, as if written by someone who knew her soul. She couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity with each word. Who was Arthur? One letter stood out. "Meet me at St. Mary's Pier at sunset. I will be waiting." Leah debated for hours but decided to go. Her curiosity outweighed her apprehension. The sun dipped into the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Leah stood at the pier, gripping the letter. Minutes felt like hours. She was about to leave when a figure emerged from the shadows. He wore an old-fashioned navy coat, his dark hair tousled by the wind. His piercing green eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. "Arthur?" she whispered, her voice shaky. He nodded solemnly. "It's me." Leah struggled to process the moment. "Who are you? Why did you write those letters?" Arthur stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "You won't believe me, but I've lived countless lives, always searching for you. In every lifetime, I find you, but fate always tears us apart. This time, I had to try something different." Her rational mind rebelled. "That's impossible. People don't just live multiple lives." "I know it's hard to believe," Arthur replied. "But haven't you ever felt like you were waiting for someone you couldn't remember?" His words struck a chord. Leah had always felt an inexplicable void, as though a piece of her heart was missing. Against her better judgment, she whispered, "Why now?" Arthur smiled faintly. "This time, I found a way to break the cycle. The letters were my anchor, a way to remind you of our connection." In the weeks that followed, Leah and Arthur were inseparable. He shared stories of their past lives together, dancing under cherry blossoms in Edo-period Japan, escaping a war-torn village in medieval France, and even sailing the seas as daring pirates. Each story resonated with her, as though unlocking hidden memories. Slowly, Leah found herself believing him. Love, she realized, wasn't always logical. It was a force that transcended time. But fate, as always, had other plans. One stormy evening, Arthur arrived at her door, drenched and desperate. "Leah, we have to leave. Now!" "What's going on?" she asked, alarmed. "They've found me," he said cryptically. "The ones who've kept us apart in every life? They won't let us be together." Before she could ask more, a deafening crack of thunder shook the house. Shadows flickered unnaturally outside, as though the storm itself was alive. Arthur grabbed her hand. "Trust me." They fled into the tempest, the wind howling like a vengeful spirit. At the edge of town, Arthur stopped abruptly. His eyes were filled with sorrow. "No matter what happens," he said, his voice steady, "promise me you'll remember this. Love is stronger than time." Tears blurred Leah's vision as she nodded. "I promise." The next morning, Arthur was gone. The letters, too, had vanished. It was as though he had never existed. But Leah knew the truth. Deep in her heart, she felt the weight of their bond. Years later, while organizing the library's archives, she stumbled upon an old photograph tucked inside a dusty book. Her breath caught. It was Arthur, standing at St. Mary's Pier, dated 1895. In that moment, Leah smiled through her tears. Love, she realized, wasn't bound by time. It was eternal.